Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking an incredible botanical discovery that completely shatters what you probably thought you knew about the Arabian landscape. We're digging into the fascinating field notes from an expedition that uncovered a totally unknown, beautifully unique species just hiding in plain sight. If you're into natural mysteries, high-altitude exploration, and the hardcore science of classifying a brand new species, you are exactly where you need to be. Let's get right into it.
So picture Saudi Arabia for a second. You're probably seeing vast, endless stretches of hot sand, right? Well, you might not be picturing the Great Arabian Escarpment. This is a massive geological feature reaching towering heights of over 3,100 meters. That's more than 10,200 feet at peaks like Jebel Souda. And up at this temperate altitude, the entire ecological rulebook gets thrown out the window. The blazing lowland heat is completely replaced by higher rainfall and a drastically different climate.
Aloes of Arabia, beyond the empty quarter.
To really appreciate this, we have to look way past the famous Rub al-Khali, that massive empty quarter sand desert that covers a huge chunk of the kingdom, because beyond that, there's a truly vibrant environment. Believe it or not, a full 10% of the entire aloe genus is actually native to the Arabian Peninsula. Most of us immediately associate aloes with mainland Africa or Madagascar, but the high mountains of Yemen, Oman, and southwestern Saudi Arabia are packed with an incredible diversity of succulents. Some of the most notable aloe taxa in the world live right here.
Now, the Asir Mountains, which literally translates to difficult in Arabic, absolutely live up to their name. The rugged, insanely steep peaks make travel incredibly challenging. But tucked away within this rugged terrain are these largely intact juniper forests. And they create this lovely, temperate microclimate that is just a paradise for succulents. Things like euphorbias, staphyliads, and naturally, aloes.
Moving on to the Asir Mountains expedition. Botanist Tom McCoy spent nearly 3 decades on countless expeditions hunting for succulents. The guy had an all-consuming passion for aloes, but the real breakthrough? That happened in May of 2015. He stumbled onto a recently cleared track leading west, right through that previously inaccessible juniper forest, heading toward the edge of the escarpment. He knew this uncharted area had massive potential, so he pushed through the dense bush. He actually found an initial population of plants right then, but he had to hold off and come back in June to catch them blooming. He needed to see the flowers to truly understand what he'd stumbled on.
And when he emerged from the thick forest on that return trip, he spotted this. To his absolute delight, he found a massive cluster of gorgeous, gray-leaved aloes growing straight out of isolated rocky outcroppings jutting up from the forest floor. You can see how they literally anchor themselves right into the rock, which is a totally different geology than the surrounding area.
A botanical discovery.
So, the crucial question was, what exactly did McCoy find? He knew right away that these plants looked completely unlike anything previously documented in the Arabian highlands. They had a unique combo of traits that practically screamed new species. Just look at those firm, red, cartilaginous edges on the leaves. That's a trait that clearly sets it apart from every other known species in Arabia at the time. Plus, developing right alongside those leaves were these beautiful flower heads popping with bright greenish-yellow immature buds.
But it wasn't just about looks. The biology here was totally unprecedented. For instance, you know how if you cut an aloe, it oozes a sap, right? An exudate? Well, this plant's sap comes out light yellow, but then it dries into this stunning dark jade-green color. Pretty wild. Even weirder is its blooming schedule. It flowers smack in the middle of summer, which is incredibly rare for aloes in this specific region. Add in those reddish-orange, triangle-shaped teeth along the leaf margins and a towering flower stem that can reach 120 centimeters tall with up to 15 branches, you've got yourself a completely unique biological profile. You can really see the progression of those flowers as they develop. The bright yellow blooms are actually covered in these very fine, delicate white hairs. Botanists call this being pubescent. And this fuzzy little feature actually places our new plant into a very specific, interesting group of Arabian aloes known for producing hairy or tomentose flowers.
Defining a new species.
Now, to officially introduce a new species to the scientific community, you can't just run on a hunch. Botanists have to use a strict morphological breakdown to literally prove their discovery. Let's look at the contrasts. Aloe woody is its closest known relative, right? But woody has blue-green leaves with sharp brown teeth, it blooms in early spring, and its sap dries to a light yellow. Contrast that directly with McCoy's plant. It's got heavily prunose, gray leaves with red cartilaginous margins. It blooms in midsummer, making it the only known truly summer-flowering aloe ever recorded from Saudi Arabia at the time, and its sap dries to that distinct jade green. That right there is the undeniable scientific proof of a new species.
The Mediterranean connection. The ecological plot thickens even further when we check out the tiny companion plant sharing that rocky soil. McCoy was meticulous, carefully documenting the surrounding flora. He noticed this aloe growing right next to plants like Dodonea angustifolia, and crucially, 2 different species of lavender, Lavandula dentata and Coronobulfolia. You can actually spot the delicate lavender in the brush right around the aloe. And this is completely fascinating because it points to a relict Mediterranean floral element that somehow managed to survive high up in these isolated mountains. It really paints a picture of an ancient, vastly different climate from the distant past.
Naming Aloe momccoyae.
So after pulling off multiple expeditions, meticulously logging all the field measurements, and writing up those incredibly detailed botanical descriptions alongside co-author John Lavranos, it was finally time to give this beautiful plant a permanent scientific name. And in a truly heartwarming gesture, it was officially dubbed Aloe momccoyae. The name was chosen to honor Tom McCoy's wife, Mo McCoy. For years, she endured the sheer hardships of botanical exploration in distant, often rugged lands, traveling all over Arabia by his side. Recognizing her endless support over decades of exploration is just a beautiful way to cement her legacy right into the botanical record. Seeing Aloe momccoyae thriving up there on those steep, isolated rock faces is just incredible. And finding a healthy, reproducing population out there was a huge deal for botanists, mostly because it perfectly filled an unexplained geographical gap in the distribution of aloes along the Great Arabian Escarpment. It was literally a missing puzzle piece of the region's biodiversity, totally hidden away for centuries just because the terrain was so incredibly hard to reach. This explainer highlights just one incredible botanical mystery, beautifully solved with rigorous exploration and some very keen observation. But it does leave us with a pretty thrilling thought. Considering just how long Aloe momccoyae sat undisturbed on those high cliffs, what other entirely undiscovered species are out there right now? What else is hiding in the world's most inaccessible corners, just waiting for a brave explorer to finally stumble upon it? Keep exploring, keep questioning, and thank you so much for joining me to unpack this incredible journey.